today's episode of Climate Catalyst theme of Get Set Green, we explore how sustainable material innovation and circular alternatives can help tackle the growing problem of single-use plastic straws. So now today we have Saji Varghese, founder of Sunbird Straws, venture creating biodegradable straws from naturally fallen coconut leaves. As someone who focuses more on building practical and scalable alternatives, we would be happy to learn from your journey and your insights as well, Saji. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Pooja. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure is all ours, and we are going to bug you with a lot of questions for another 30-40 minutes.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, Saji, yeah. For our, let's say, listener, could you please introduce yourself in a few lines
Yes.
for
So,
someone who is hearing you for the first time?
yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Saji Varghese. By profession, I'm associate professor in the Department of English at Christ University, but I'm also an entrepreneur, a social impact entrepreneur. And we have a startup where we make drinking straws from fallen coconut leaves. And we provide employment to women in rural areas and also solve the problem of single-use plastic straws. So that's about us.
Thank you so much for keeping it short and sweet. So, Sari, could you help us understand how the idea behind Sunbird Straws begin in the first place?
Yeah, so as I told you, an English teacher by profession. So earlier part of my career, I was in Maharashtra in a very remote village. I was teaching English for almost 10 years there, and
Mm-hmm.
I used to see a lot of farmer suicides happening, and that would distress me. So the starting point was, I was asking myself that I might teach English for another 15, 20 years. But how would I make a tangible impact on the life of our communities? So that was the starting point. And then I was inspired by the biography of an agriculture scientist by the name George Washington Carver. It was he who inspired me to start where we are with what we have, make something of it, and never be satisfied. And I took the journey of innovations. So fast forward, I'm here in Bangalore at Christ University. I'm walking in the campus and I see some fallen coconut leaves. And the earlier day, a gentleman from Netherlands had asked me, "Can you come up with some alternative for single-use plastic straws? It is such a scourge to the environment. It is destroying marine life." So when I saw that those fallen coconut leaves, it was like an epiphany moment. I was wondering, why can't I make straws from fallen coconut leaves? Yeah, that's the long story short. After a few experiments in my kitchen with those leaf fallen coconut leaves, I developed the world's first drinking straws from fallen coconut leaves. And then two of my students joined me in this venture, Chirag and Sandeep. And we have now have an enterprise, a social impact enterprise where we have employed 105 women. And we sell the straws globally under the brand Sunbird. So that's what. So the starting point was essentially about wanting to make a social impact. But thankfully, with the invention that we made, we are able to make a significant impact, positive impact on the environment as well.
Yeah. And somewhere we always need this balance, right? I do agree that we want to make something better for environment, but also it should be viable, let's say, from the point of economics as well, because you cannot bring a product until and unless if it has a purpose to serve and also viable solutions for the manufacturer as well, because let's agree this will be based on profit oriented model, because it becomes burden on the manufacturer, even though let's say they have this intention of making it much more competitive with the ones already available in the market. So coming to that, I'm also quite happy that you mentioned that your kitchen is the place where you invented this ideation process, right? If you are okay, could you please share some maybe few interesting thoughts or stories whilst you are, preparing and analyzing these ideas with the coconut leaves?
Yeah, the interesting part is that, I'm a very early riser for the past 35, 40 years. I get up at 3:30 in the morning, sharp 3:30, and I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of experiments in the kitchen before my wife lands there. And so and because I'm not from a technology person, like I do very simple things. So my lab becomes my kitchen becomes my lab, and I do small experiments. So I was steaming the leaves. So I was doing all sorts of random experiments with the leaf. I was soaking it, and one morning I was steaming it in a pressure cooker, uh, the idli pressure cooker. And then when a nice shine came on the surface, that's when
Okay.
we found out that the naturally fallen coconut leaf actually has its own natural wax, which is very healthy for the body. So that insight really got me excited because the paper straws and the other straws that you get, they are dipped in artificial wax. Uh, and here was an agri waste which is burnt everywhere. And it had such amazing properties in it, which
Yeah.
was a desirable property for a straw. So that is how. So that's what happens in my kitchen. I keep doing lots of experiments. We have come up with some more interesting products. That's about my kitchen, my task in the kitchen. But I think you are also asking me about the balance between profit and social impact. Do you want me to talk about that now, or how I balance, how we as
Yeah,
a
like please go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we are very clearly a for-profit company because we believe that for sustainability to sustain, you
Yes.
have to be profitable. That's exactly the point you were also making. So what we do is we do a fine balance between
Yeah.
technology upgradation and rural impact.
Hmm?
So the social impact part is definitely not for
Okay.
compromise. We want to see to it that more and more of
Hmm.
women in the rural areas do get income opportunities. At the same time, I have to be pragmatic. That is, the women should be able to meet the growing demand, and the unit economics should make sense for us so that we are profitable. And that is why now we are work. So we started with tabletop machines, simple tabletop machines, and the cycle time was 45 seconds per straw.
Okay.
But then we started getting
Okay.
very good orders, and then we had to increase the productivity. That could happen only if we upgraded the technology. So then we upgraded it to conveyor system. That is what we have now, and we brought down the cycle time from 45 seconds to just 2 seconds per straw. That is, the women are now able
Oh,
to.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the women are now able to roll out the straws in 2 seconds. What it means is the cost of production has come down,
Mm-hmm.
but the incomes of the women have increased.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that's the beautiful
Yeah.
part of the business that we are doing. And now
I mean, I do agree, right?
I was just saying that now we are coming up with our third generation machines where we will be rolling out almost 120
Mm-hmm.
straws in 120 straws in a minute with our new machines. Where again the incomes of the women will
Mm-hmm.
increase, but we will be able to uh, position our straws at a very competitive price.
Congratulations for that. From let's say going 45 seconds per straw to let's say 120 in a minute is a great, I would say, process efficiency which you have achieved in the process
Right.
of, let's say, going from phase one, phase two, phase three. And that was my next question also, because for any innovation, right, we always have this ideation phase where you do the pilot testing and understanding of maybe a smaller scale. It need not to be in a very big scale like a big manufacturers, how it happens, but still, once you have this pilot stage done, from later on, you focus on the commercialization part, right? So, could you help us understand, since this product or altogether it was a new introduction to the market with let's say n number of varieties already available, how did you place this product, let's say, in so crowded and busy market?
As you know, the straws is always a cluttered market. Uh, but then the important thing to note there is that no hotels of any repute uses a plastic straw. Plastic straws are banned. And then they were all looking for an efficient alternative. So the quickest alternative
Mm-hmm.
go to were the paper straws. Paper straws, because of course it's not plastic, but the fact remains that paper straws are also not exactly eco-friendly. You cut trees to make those paper straws, and second thing, it's not very efficient. People have a very bad experience with paper straws. It gets soggy in a few minutes, and all the glue leaks into the beverage actually. And then there were a few other alternatives like the bamboo straws. They are very expensive. So I would say that our straws, these are the straws that we make of different dimensions. So these straws, first of all, it was made from an agri waste, and then it can hold in a beverage for more than 4 hours. And then we can customize it to any diameter.
Okay.
It could be customized to any diameters, and the cost was slightly higher than
Mm-hmm.
the paper straw. But our argument is that
Mm-hmm.
if a customer sits over a beverage at a hotel for over 2 hours, he ends up taking
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 of these paper straws because they becomes soggy. But our straws only one
Soggy
straw.
with yeah, time.
Yeah, and these straws can stay for the entire beverage time. So that way, the economics actually works for them.
Mm-hmm.
So though our straws are slightly higher priced than the paper straws, you need to use only one of these. So what happens is, so that's exactly the thing that everyone liked it. So now, let's say in Bangalore alone, we have 114 hotels who take our straws, including the Taj. So the Taj hotels also decided to take Sunbird straws for all
Mm-hmm.
their properties in India, and we have 100% customer
Mm-hmm.
retention. So anyone who has taken our straws has not gone back to any other straws. So that is a good, strong validation that our straws are definitely more efficient, cost effective than the existing alternatives.
Okay, and it is interesting to see how the, let's say, the time span for a straw, which will be held in any particular beverage the customer is using, if it has a lifespan or at least the time span of 2 to 4 hours, that should ideally be the better workaround for other, let's say, the paper ones, right? But here again, when we talk about eco-friendly, because I come from that environmental background, I would just like to give a few my 2 cents on this. Whatever happens when we say a product or eco-friendly or not eco-friendly, the main parameter what is important is we have to analyze from life cycle point of view. Let's say from the production and there the use, and then also the manufacturing, and of course the grave part where it will end up after completing its intended use.
True.
So when an engineer sees a particular product, what they will analyze is what are all the possible emissions which can happen throughout its life process of any product. Based on that, we say something is more sustainable than compared to this. But again, it is a gray zone. It becomes completely difficult to monitor because sometimes you have a lot of claims coming in with no standard data. And sometimes there are really good products, but they don't have the backup of, let's say, the data. So they completely lose out of this beneficiaries, or let's say even the good marketing which they could have had, they will lose out. So I would like to advise the listener, whenever you have, please do spend your time understanding what are all these, let's say, environmental labels or claims when it comes, so that it will also enhance your knowledge. And when you have such products like Sunbird Straws and few others, you will be able to appreciate more, also understand and make a sensible decision, right? And thanks for listening to my 2 cents, both to the listeners and as well as Saji. So I am moving on to my next question, which is how different are plant-based straws from other eco-friendly alternatives available today? Could you share us that part?
Just to give my view on your earlier sense of what, as a environmental engineer, um, uh,
Environmental
uh,
engineer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, an agency from a very reputed agency from Netherlands. It's a CIF. They have done an entire life cycle assessment of
Okay.
Sunburn. They did an entire an assessment, life cycle
Oh, that's
assessment.
great.
They did it, and they brought out an entire
Mm-hmm.
paper of it, and they have put Sunbird straws under a significant positive impact, under significant impact, positive impact category. The reason being, the as you said about the
Mm-hmm.
paper straws, and the grave side of the paper straws are more carbon footprint creating. The paper straws, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the grave part of it, whereas these straws are actually just the coconut leaf, and nothing is done to it. It is only a steaming process with which the epicuticular wax comes onto the surface. And a few students from
Mm-hmm.
Gujarat University conducted an entire biodegradability study of these straws. So we have done quite a few
Okay.
studies. We have a lot of data available about how we are very, very, positive in terms of reducing the carbon footprint. Yeah, that's I wanted to just mention.
I'm impressed, I must say, by understanding the data, Saji.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and now what's the next question? I forgot
Because
the.
I was asking you, no problem, I will repeat myself. So, how different are plant based straws? Because, which comes,
Yeah,
as you
yeah, yeah.
mentioned, right? This is agricultural waste, but there are few options available from the plant
Right,
based ones. So,
right.
how different are these when if we have to compare both?
Yeah. So now there are very good alternatives which exist, like bamboo straws. Then there is the hay straw, which is a rice
Mm-hmm.
hay. Then there are then not my
Rice
grapes.
husk, ash, or
No, no, rice stem.
stem? Okay, okay.
So, and then there are straws which are edible straws made out of cornstarch, and then bagasse. But then I would say that the
Mm-hmm.
drawback, bamboo straw, if a bamboo straw is not properly processed, and I think it has to be chemically processed, otherwise, because the bamboo is a natural hollow stem. and you cannot do much about what is inside the
Yeah.
hollow. So there is a good chance, and it is always positioned
Mm-hmm.
as a reusable straw. And there is a strong chance of black
Mm.
fungus inside the straw.
Okay.
Yeah, and then comes the rice stem straw. The problem with the rice stem straw is that it is very limited in
Mm-hmm.
its the diameters cannot be altered to cater to different
Oh, you mean to say they cannot be made into customizable sizes
no, they
with
are,
different diameters?
yeah, because it's a stem, it has a standard diameter. So let's say now we
Mm.
have the
Mm.
different diameters. So these straws are of different diameters. But different. So this is will be for the juices. This will be for the shakes and smoothies, and then we have a 11 diameter for the boba tea. Well, one thing is it is made from an agri
Mm-hmm.
waste, which otherwise would have been burnt in landfills or kitchens. Across India, know that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fallen coconut leaves are burnt everywhere, either in landfills or in kitchens. So we are preventing the burning of the leaves,
Mm-hmm.
then converting them into straws to eliminate plastic straws. Right. So, and then third part is the entire efficiency aspect of it and the customization possibilities. So that is how this becomes a very, very powerful alternative compared to the other existing alternatives.
Okay, got it. Great. And when it comes to, let's say, the reusability, because as you mentioned, for when bamboo comes into picture, they say that if it is, it can be reused multiple times. Can we talk about, let's say, when in comparison with that, of a coconut leaf sunbird straw? Is it immediately discarded after the use, or how do I understand this?
Yeah. So when we give it to the Horeca segment, the hotels, restaurants, and cafes, we position it as a single use straw only because we don't want
Mhm.
this straw to be used by multiple people.
Okay.
But if you purchase our straw, this straw,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it is just costing us 3 rupees, you can use it 5 to 8 times. You can use it 5 to 8 times as an
Mm-hmm.
individual. But now, thankfully, we are coming up with
Okay.
a new version of the straws, which is made from the cuticle of the plant, same coconut leaf and other leaves, which can hold in a beverage for more than
Mm.
100 hours. It can hold in a beverage for more than 100 hours, and
More than 100 hours.
so you can
Okay.
easily use it more than 50 to 80 times. We are coming up with that version in the 3 months time.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing happens to it because it is made from the leaf cuticle. So as of now, this is made from the leaf. So we have developed a method where we extract the cuticle
Mm.
of the leaf or cuticle of pandanus leaf. There is another leaf called pandanus, and the straw we make out of it has come out very
Okay.
beautiful. So, so what I'm trying to say is that in maybe another year's time, we will have the most efficient organic alternative on the in the market. Most efficient, hands down. We'll have the
Okay.
most.
So let's say,
Yeah,
yeah. So I believe then that is the vision for next 1 to 5 years, I would say, where you have this next version, updated version of the existing ones,
yeah.
correct?
No,
And
that's
yeah, we would be looking forward. And I personally,
quite good.
yeah, no, I was saying I personally would like to purchase because I use a steel straw at my home because I have like pair of them where which I easy to carry and manage. I can just wash it, rinse it, and keep using it again and again,
No,
but I have never used anything of this sort. But so that's definitely I would like to, all the more reason for me to try this out and see how it works with me.
we'll be happy to
And
send.
yes, you were saying something, Saji.
Uh,
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
yeah, yeah. No, what else? I'm forgetting. No, so that's fine. Yeah, you can go ahead with your
Okay,
questions.
then yeah. So my my last question would be on consumer behavior pattern, right? Because whenever you have a change in market with a different product, there will be certain inhibition from the consumer sector because that is human nature, right? When you get used to doing certain things in a certain way, there will be a resistance to change, maybe because of our mind or whatever reasons, or so on and so forth. But when it comes to certain changes, of course there is certain population which is conscious, and they make eco conscious decisions based on what products they consume, what services they buy, I mean how they proceed with their daily life activities. But there is a bigger chunk which may not have that privilege to understand in terms of the detail, intricacies or nuances of each and every product. For them, basically what matters is the economics of it. How let's say convenient is that product for me to buy, or how many times can I actually reuse it. So that's how the if we have to segregate the population. So now let's talk about this second part, which is a bigger chunk. Could you help us understand how did you crack in understanding the consumer behavior into this?
Yeah, the one thing is I just completed a course on brand business and behavior. So uh, that gave
Okay,
lot.
we can maybe use that learning for us as well then.
So around so this straw is only a very narrow functional product, right? You just needed to sip a straw, sip your beverage.
Hmm.
But what becomes
Beverage,
important
yeah.
company like ours, for a company like ours, what becomes very important is how you convey the story around it. When you pick a Sunbird straw, it's not that you're just
Hmm.
picking a straw to sip a beverage. You are touching the environment in a very, very strong, positive way. When you pick up Sunbird straw, you are, spreading smiles in the rural areas. So the straw becomes a very powerful story. So what happens for companies like ours is to
Mm-hmm.
keep telling the story and keep creating this awareness through social media, through direct speaking to people. In fact, right now we have positioned our straws at quite a few coconut vendor shops also, and then we can see that people are adopting it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's good. The
Mm-hmm.
challenge is definitely there in a price sensitive market like India. I am still confident that if you in the B2C segment, in the direct or D2C segment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, people do
Consumer. Yeah.
consumer people. I mean, our challenge comes in the B2B segment. B2B because when we sell it to hotels, for them profit motive becomes very very
Mm-hmm.
important. But what I have experienced is
Mm-hmm.
tell the story to a consumer like you or anyone else. At the most, our straws are sold at 3 rupees per straw. But you should understand that you are not paying 3 rupees
Mm-hmm.
to just buy the straw. You're paying 3 rupees, where a big part of the money goes either for planet protection or to create employment in the rural area. So you wouldn't mind shelling out 3 rupees is considerably a very small contribution you make to make such a very powerful impact. So this is the story, and I am
Mm-hmm.
realizing that people, the direct consumer responds very positively to it. So it's up to
For
us
this,
how powerful.
let's say, the kind of storytelling when you have this type of brand, which is also a social beneficial enterprise model. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, I would say, because when you have this certain story which sounds genuine and also backed up with, let's say, good data, that will do wonders rather than directly going to businesses where the profit becomes the, let's say, deciding factor at the end, right?
Exactly. Fully agree. Yeah, yeah. But thankfully,
And thank you so
Pooja,
much. Yeah.
Pooja, just to let you know, even in a hotel like Taj or Tamara hotels, I'm very happy that they took the step of
Mm-hmm.
using Sunbird straws, which are slightly expensive, more because of the story. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
Taj decided to take Sunbird straws for all their properties in India, and the Tamara group of hotels decided to take the straws for all their properties. The key factor was, they are our straws are making a strong impact, and that is why they themselves decided to, okay, let's pay a slightly higher price, uh, but let us prefer this because it is making a
Mm-hmm.
big. Yeah. So yeah, I am very positive about the
Yeah,
work
I
we are.
mean, that is the impact of storytelling, right? It doesn't
Yes.
matter where you come from or what you are actually doing. So this is also comes from marketing and as well as MBA business view. That how best can you simplify your technical jargon and business, maybe Greek and Latin words, so that a common man or a customer can understand this and bring value to it, because they can only bring value if they understand it correctly, right?
Sure. Agree. Fully agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we are.
And yes, and cool. And we are at the end of the interview, Saji. So we will have a quick round of rapid fire where you will have three questions. You just have to give one word, because we will not bug you anymore with long explanations for this sector at least.
Right. Sure. Sure. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. So are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is, what is sustainability for you in a single word?
It is smiles everywhere.
Sorry,
Just
smiles?
just smiles. For me, so the point is, sustainability is
Okay.
never for me about having a better, safer planet. It's about spreading smiles among the people. In a country like India, sustainability cannot just be a jargon for planet,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't imagine, when a large section of Indian population is below poverty line. I cannot talk about sustainability. Sustainability for me goes hand in hand with better life for every person on the planet. So that's why I said, this straw is about smiles. So smiles is my word for sustainability.
It was quite, yeah, it's quite intriguing because this is my first time hearing this version of sustainability definition, and it gives a food for thought, right? Because actually it is true. Because when we understand ESG parameters, also, even though let's say something is very convincing in environmental sector, if it is not making sense for social or governance, because when I talk about socials, for someone to give a gist of what social means in ESG is nothing but, let's say, are we taking advantage or using any child labor in particular industry or organization? That's how they look at it. And there are so many metrics with which they judge and give a score for each of big multinational corporations, manufacturing centers, and industries. And then comes the part of governance, right? How are we paying our let's say employees?
Correct.
As you rightly mentioned, you employ rural women, right? Their cost of living will only depend on the profit with which you make and the what is the wages they will get. That is why I also believe in systems which are profit driven, because
Right.
only having social impact, from my experience, what I have seen is will not sustain for a very long term. If at all we have a system which is hand in hand with the societal benefits and impact, and along with that, if we can move the needles in terms of economic aspect, only then will we be able to sustain. So even I'm more inclined towards such solutions which makes more sense to me.
Very
I
true.
think we broke and we did the completely opposite of rapid fire one word.
Okay.
No, never mind. So moving on to the next question, which is, what is the most surprising reaction you have got to Sunbird straws?
A blessing by a lady. When I was giving the straw, she touched my forehead. Nothing more than that. That
Okay,
reveals. That was the most surprising reaction. She
I think that feels, yeah.
It was very powerful because I just gave the straw to her, and once she knew the story, she just touched my forehead and left. So I got up. So that was the most surprising response. A blessing from an old.
And it feels like, yeah,
Yeah, she just.
yeah, and nothing like it, right?
Yeah. Of course, the common always reaction
Yeah.
is, oh,
So what?
it made from coconut leaf and all of that. But that all, apart from that, that response was that lady touching my forehead, blessing.
Hmm. So that stands out amongst all of them. Yeah. So the last question is, one climate solution people underestimate, as per your opinion.
Yes, straws.
Okay. And thank you so much for being sportive and going through with let's say the rapid fire round with much enthusiasm, as you were for the previous session as well. And thank you so much for also explaining us the ideation part, because I would like to maybe emphasize here, right? When we think about ideas, there are so many, because each and every person has an idea lingering around their minds, or bringing some sort of solution to a problem which we face in everyday lives. So what is important is the better start, early start will always give you a pushback, when compared to the other solutions. And that's what makes the difference at the end of the day. So that is my aaj ka gyan, where I am saying that that is what supposed to be done. And thank you so much. In this conversation, if I have to summarize, we looked at around what are all the possible alternatives in the market available, and we also spent some time in understanding the life cycle analysis, and let's say even their carbon footprint emissions, or what is their benefits, or what is the burden in terms of the overall data. And then we also looked at the social part of it, where the rural women, how they have been employed. And I also must mention that the great progress of Sunburst Towers, where you are already producing a phase 3 version with, let's say, much more efficient machines with more and more output coming in. Thank you so much for that. And I wish to see, maybe I will purchase one for myself as well. Thank you so much. So, this is all. Every episode will be there every week with different four themes. So, please follow and subscribe. Get Set Green. Thanks for your time. Bye. That's it for today's episode of Get Set Green. I'm your host, Pooja Arve. Thank you for tuning in to the conversations that matter. If this story inspired you,
Don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and join our community of change makers. Together, let's keep purpose meeting planet, one week and one story at a time. Until next time, stay curious, stay foolish, and let's get set to get green.